Alright folks, so I'm going to do another little video here for you because it's been a little while since I've done one, and I kind of want to keep the trend going a little bit because I'm just in the mood. So what we're going to review is something I came across at my base gun store that was not something I was really intending to get, but it's something that I haven't seen for a long time, and the price was like really cheap, so I just wanted to see if it was worth it or not. And what we're going to be looking at here is this Island M200 .38 special only revolver. And I've seen these things kind of floating around for like a year or two now, and I didn't really know what to think of it because I thought, man, cheap revolvers, that just kind of feels like a recipe for disaster because I've not had good experiences with cheap revolvers like Charter Arms or cheap Tauruses and things like that. So I was like, this can't be that great of a revolver, right? But the thing that really kind of got me was, well, there was a few things actually. One was just how it looks. This just looks like what you would expect from, a typical revolver. I mean, it looks like a revolver. But I have to admit, like the lines on this actually look pretty nice. The overall design of it kind of reminds me of like a Colt, and I'm very partial to Colts myself, having grown up with them. So I kind of like how it looked, and the finish and everything just seemed very simple, very plain. There was nothing super gaudy about it. None of those crazy like color combinations you see from the other companies like Charter Arms or Taurus. They try to make like the barrel will be like stainless or the frame will be stainless and the other part will be black, or there's red and blue, or all those weird kind of color combinations. But no, this is just simple Parkerized black. So that was one reason. The other reason was because my other Rock Island gun, that 1911 that I have, that I reviewed on the channel before, it's been flawless and actually been a really good shooter for what it is. So I thought, one good turn deserves another. How bad can it be? All right, so that was my other reason. And the third reason was the price point. So this was sitting in the shop at the base gun shop there for $225. And buying guns from the base gun shop is pretty cool because you don't pay any tax on it whatsoever. So what the price that you see is what you pay, which is awesome. So doing the math, if I was to order this revolver locally, it would come out to pretty much around the same, if not more, depending on where I bought it and what the listed price was. So to me, it just made a whole lot of sense to just buy this thing because it was available. It was available and the price was right. So having a gun be available, especially in these times, is definitely a luxury. So it's kind of one of those things that I knew if I didn't get this, someone else would. So, for $225, how bad can it possibly be, right? And at the worst case scenario, this becomes a piece to, let's say, help a friend of mine out who maybe did not have the foresight, funds, or availability means to prepare himself, herself, to defend themselves, especially, like I said, in these trying times. So, kind of serves a multi-role for me. Basically to see if this is worth anything, but also a nice little, I wouldn't say giveaway piece, but a budget option in case something happened and went down. I needed to help a friend of mine out. This is not something that I would miss terribly. So that's really why I got it. So, and when I got this, I noticed that the action was a little unusual because me being spoiled with arguably much nicer Colts and Smiths, I will say you absolutely do feel the price point of this revolver and the smoothness of the action, or lack thereof smoothness. That's not to say it doesn't work though. This thing works just fine. I've had no issues with it. So yeah, it's your typical double action, single action revolver, and I've got snap caps in there. So double action is heavy for double action, but it's actually quite smooth. There's no staginess in this whatsoever, unless you want to. So those who have fired double action revolvers will kind of understand what the staging is. So let's just demonstrate that here. So the cylinder will finish rotating before the hammer even falls. So See right there how the hammer's moving on its own and the cylinder's not. So right there, bam. So you can stage this revolver actually pretty well, and you can shoot a double action pretty well. Single action is nice and easy to do because the hammer on this is actually quite large. So it's very easy with one hand to just boom. But the single action in this is also really, really awesome. So we'll just demonstrate that here. Man, that is pretty darn crisp for $225, dinky little revolver like this. So trigger's good. Action's smooth enough to get the job done. It's not. It doesn't hold a candle to my Smith 586 or any of my Colts, but it's good enough. And I don't think you can really be too harsh on a gun that only costs 200-ish bucks. So quite happy with that, and pleasantly surprised at just how well this actually did function. So for accuracy's sake, the best I could do with this at 25 yards is hovering right around 2.5, 3-inch groups, and that's both hands, single action only. Really taking my time. Because these are, as you can see right there, they're fixed sights. They're not target sights. So what you see is what you get. There's no adjusting. You pretty much have to find your hold for the target and try to be on target as much as possible. So I will say that the absolute best group I did get with this was three shots all on top of each other, basically in a vertical row at 25 yards. But I wasn't able to repeat that. So it is actually quite accurate. I was very surprised at how well this thing is able to shoot. For, like I said, for what it is, and the price, this thing is definitely what I would call one of those high value firearms. I'm not going to call it cheap, because cheap has a negative connotation. It is inexpensive, yes, but it still shoots really dang well. And actually a lot better, I think, than most people who are, let's say, first-time gun buyers. This gun will be able to outshoot their ability to shoot the gun. So that's really all you can ask out of a gun, is to shoot at least as good as you can, if not better. So some of the loads I shot through this were some Arms Corps 158 grain FMJs, which actually this gun likes the most out of all the loads I shot. I shot some Federal 158, I think it's like truncated cone lead bullets, and then some 130 grain FMJs as well, also from Federal. But because Rock Island Arms Corps are the same company, it actually legitimately liked the Arms Corps ammunition the most. It was the most accurate, smoothest cycling, all that. It just really likes the Arms Corps stuff. So I think that's pretty fitting that the company's own ammo line tends to also work with their gun pretty well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this is 38 special only, which it's a little bit of a drag. I kind of wish it was 357 capable as well, because all of my other revolvers are also 357 capable. So I'd kind of like to be able to do that. But for 200 bucks, I'm not going to complain too much. And to be honest, even with the 38 specials through this thing, it wasn't exactly the softest shooting thing. This thing actually does move and recoil a little bit. It's not unmanageable. It's not extreme. It's not putting full power 357 Magnum loads through my 586, which is just going to go blam. It's got a big old boom. It's not going to be like that, but the recoil is there. It's very satisfying to shoot this thing. It's not unpleasant. Even with the arguably not great grips on this thing. So I don't know if this will come through very well, but they're not rubber. They're like a kind of hard plastic, and they fit my hand, but it's not what I would call the most comfortable. And they're just very cheap. Okay, I will use cheap in this context for the grips. They are cheap. Still, I'm able to shoot this one-handed quite well, especially at 10 yards, one-handed. I was able to put pretty much all the shots in the same hole with both left and right hand, because it's very important that you train with both hands, I think, with a pistol, at least on occasion. So I was able to fire this gun, one-handed, both double action and single, both hands, no problems whatsoever. I'm a little bit more accurate with my right hand, but that just kind of goes without saying because I am a right-handed person. So even though I shoot rifles left-handed, it is a whole different skill set to go to your non-dominant hand and try to shoot. If you haven't done that before, do try that, because it is a completely different experience. That being said, I did not find anything ergonomically wrong or hard to do with this gun with my left hand, because even though the cylinder release lever is on the left side of the frame, it's really not that much of a reach to just kind of hold it like this, pull it back, push it out, eject your rounds, put the new ones in, lock it up, boom, good to go. Easy, simple. With right hand, of course, it's also very easy, because when you're done shooting, you just turn it over, pull it back, pull the cylinder out, boom, good to go. So yeah, negatives on this, I guess, would be obviously the kind of craftsmanship or lack thereof. So this is a roughly finished gun. It is not the prettiest thing. It really isn't. When you make a revolver like this for $200, they're going to be cutting corners. It's the name of the game. It's nature of the beast, right? So all over this gun, you can see very, very clear tool marks. You can see places where it's not quite even. You can see places in the frame where they definitely could have like smoothened it out a little bit. Places where the lines don't quite match with each other. It's not the prettiest thing. It really isn't. But I don't think it was ever meant to be. So. Yeah, so the fit and finish of this is honestly not the best. The finish is the Rock Island's usual, just straight black parkerizations, kind of like a matte rough finish on it. It's okay. I wouldn't say parkerization is my favorite finish of firearms. It's really not, but it gets the job done. It's not going to be your high polished blue or fancy stainless or Cerakote. Not even Cerakote. Even Cerakote's nicer than this parkerization, I feel. But yeah, the gun's just a little rough all over. And when I first got this out of the box, this thing, the actual action itself was quite gummy and quite sticky. And there were some cases where I would pull a double action and I would find the single action would be actually locked up. I had to really, really crank that thing with my thumb. Sometimes with both thumbs go like that to really force it to rotate the cylinder. And also at times too, before I really cleaned this up and got some rounds through it, is when I would fire and the hammer would drop, sometimes the trigger would not actually return. It would get stuck in the rear, and I'd have to basically bump it a little bit, kind of force it to return, basically. So that wasn't all that great, but I think it's because they had an absurd amount of like grease or preservative or something inside the basically the trigger mechanism inside this gun. So I took a long time, basically an afternoon's worth, to really get in here and like scrub all that crap out. And once I did that and oiled it up and cleaned it and got some rounds through it, it was working just fine. So yeah, so overall, it's a very inexpensive gun, but I would say for what you're spending to get this, 200, 250 at the high end, for a 38 special only revolver, 6 shots, 4-inch barrel, fixed sights, double single action, parkerized finish, it just works. I really think that this is definitely another high value purchase that you can make from Rock Island, So yet another product that I'm quite satisfied actually from Rock Island. And like I said, this is not meant to impress people. This is not meant to be the super duper, oh man, look at this thing, isn't it cool? It's just, it knows what it was supposed to be used for as a tool. Definitely not a target gun, but to be honest, even with all of those negatives against it, I still really enjoy shooting this thing. and it's quite accurate. It's more accurate than I am, I'm sure. So you have the accuracy, you have the reliability, you have the durability that you need. You're not going to be going to war with this thing, but even if you had to, it could probably serve in a pinch. Um, Definitely a suitable, what I would call suitable self-defense firearm. Police have been putting holes in people and putting dudes down for decades with 38 Special, and this thing will definitely do the job as well. Are there better, more modern options out there? Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, for $200, I mean, you're not getting a SIG P365, are you? So, and honestly, I think I would rather use this in a self-defense situation than like a Sky CPX2 or one. I don't know. That's just me. But I will say too, though, revolvers are definitely a different skill set from your usual semi-automatic pistols. So for people out there looking to maybe expand their arsenal and have never fired a revolver before, this would be actually a pretty decent intro revolver. Because like I said, it's very basic, very simple. There's nothing really crazy about it. You're not going to be crying a whole lot if you get a little scratch on the frame or the barrel or something like that. Super basic, very simple. 38 Special only, so you can't mess it up. It just all around it's just a good piece, and I've been very, very satisfied with it. So I will continue to shoot this more as soon as I can find more 38 Special ammo, because I unfortunately shot most of it when I was testing this gun out. I put about, oh gosh, I want to say 150 rounds through this in one afternoon, and it was just so much fun to shoot. I don't know what it is about, just this kind of format, I guess, of shooting with revolvers like this. It's just so much fun, and quite accurate too. So yeah, I really don't know how much more I can say about this gun. I mean, it's basic, it's cheap, inexpensive, and it's really a nice little gun from Rock Island. So once again, they are proving themselves in the high value department when it comes to lower priced firearms that perform a lot better than you might think. So just because something is cheap or has a low price does not necessarily mean it is a bad gun. And that's definitely something I like to watch out for, is what I like to call value priced firearms, value firearms. And this is definitely one of them. So I would say if you're looking at one of these things, if you can find one right now, for a reasonable price, $250, $225, $200, I would say you could do a lot worse, to be honest. So, but I really like mine, and I'm going to keep shooting it, and I like it for what it is. I really wish I could get some different grips for these. I know there are some options out there, but they're not expressly made for this gun. So I really like to see some people make some grips for this thing and just make it better. Anyway, I've gone on long enough about that revolver, but I really like it. Like I said, it's Arms Core Rock Island Armory M200 Revolver. Great stuff. Like it a lot. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.